Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Tuesday afternoon, March 23rd. We are looking at the ETFs of all our indices that we follow, market profile here on Window Trader, and very, very ugly finish to the day. Russell from the get-go was a gap low. We talked about this. In fact, I spent a lot of time on the Russell chart telling you what I was looking at. Right? The look above the all-time high last week and fail. Inside day down. Gap lower today. We got right down. I said the next target is 217 and change. Well, they blew through that down to 216 and change. They did close around the 217 level. It'll be interesting to see if they have anything to get back above it. They go out with 4 sets of single prints. A lot to talk about. We'll go out over everything. I mean, we had tremendous chop in SPY all morning. We were 8 for 8 wide. We only end 8 wide. It got lowered to B's low, cannot get lowered anymore. But we had a chance for a trend day up. So we took back yesterday's trend day in SPY. Then we had a chance for trend day up twice in B and in D, and end up with a trend day down with 2 sets of single prints and a price probe. All 3 indices price probe. We'll start with triple Qs. At one point, they had a perfect POC, 11 for 11 wide. That's rare you have 11 for 11 wide and go out with a trend day. Well, we did. Trend day down. Single prints in L, price pro below L. They even took out yesterday's high and almost got to yesterday's low. But they did hold their gap from the other day. So, believe it or not, they're kind of acting the best out of the group right now. Russell. I took 2 trades in Russell. I missed a huge trade in A period. When it ran up, I was like, I want to be short against the gap. There was nothing for me in SPY on the opening. Nothing. I told the room that. I said that, but there's absolutely something here in Russell. If we pull up, I want to take a short against the gap. Well, I screwed up. I had it lined up and almost bought calls by accident instead of buying the puts. So I missed it. But I didn't miss it in B period. And I shorted it. I actually shorted the micros, 30 of them, and wrote it down. Had a good trade on that. Then they actually went sideways for 7 time frames. I'm like, well, if we get below the day's low, since we're 7 wide, I'll see if they bounce off the 50-day moving average. So I went long the micros at the 50. That did not work. They got no traction, but I wasn't in bad shape. I held. Now, if those were calls, I can assure you I would have been out of them real quick once it didn't hold. But since it was micros and I wasn't getting hurt that bad, I actually held them. And believe it or not, J period gave me an opportunity to get out of them for break even or even made small on them. So again, that's kind of a double-edged sword there on trading the micros, because I should have been out of the trade, but I held on to them because I wasn't losing a lot, and it gave me an opportunity to get them back. Calls, I would have been out of them. And that was the only 2 trades I took there. I said to the room after that, I said, you should look for nothing but shorts then in IWM, righty, whatever you're trading. And they go out with B, I, K, and L. 4 sets of single prints and a trend day down. We'll see tomorrow. Look where they're trading. They're right back to last week's, that 3 weeks ago low. So it's going to be interesting if they could hold it. Now, SPY and ES. I didn't do a trade in SPY until D period because it just wasn't. It was chop city. We filled the single prints from yesterday and then look, B went up, C went down, D went up. There was just nothing happening that interested me. Finally in D, I took a short against the overnight high. I know ES didn't get theirs, but we got our overnight high in SPY. I took a short against it, the 395 puts, and that traded. We came right back down to POC. Worked out very nicely for me. Then I took, where is it? I'm looking, J. I took a short at value low. Wait a second, I apologize. I took a short again in SPY Which ones did I buy, though? I didn't write down which ones I bought in J. I apologize. But I took a short looking for this thing to take the low out. And then in K period, I'm sorry. In K period, I took a short. Maybe it wasn't J. I wrote J down. I think I did take a short, but I don't remember exactly what I did. I apologize. But I did take a short. I took a 30 lot in K and held on. Believe it or not, I held on for 5 of them down $1.50 and really had an awesome trade on that. So, I know what I did in J. I said we were one time framing down any push up, I was going to short it because I told the room, look, we were in total chop most of the day. I said once K took out C's low, that's where change took place. I said, and now I am not looking for longs whatsoever. And I just started fading. It wasn't J. It was K. I shorted it a couple times, and I took and then I held on to every push up. I reshorted, went down, and I finally held on to it. I held on to 5 of them and went down and had a very, very nice day. Actually did it in L period again, where I was holding it, went up, added, went down a couple of times. Turned out to be a really nice day. So we kept the room out of trouble. That's important. You get lulled to sleep, right? We were 8 wide. Nothing's or 7 wide, whatever we were. I was like, you don't get lulled to sleep. And once we took out C's low, earlier in the day, I said I will look to fade new highs, which I did, and new lows, which we never got. But then once K did it, I said that changed. You have to change. It's a game plan change. And then I was looking for nothing but shorts. Now, destinations for and by the way, the volume pretty good, 90 million with the after hours. Value ended overlapping to lower on the SPY. Destinations for tomorrow. Upside, we had the price probe, L's low, even though we closed above it, 389.02. Then we have 2 sets of single prints. M's high, 389.79, get filled at 390.46. K's low. In the second set, L's high, 390.96, get filled at C's low, 391.24. Now, I like 9 wide, but the way K went up to get 8 wide and then reversal bar, that's a very visual area. I'm using the 8 wide this time at 392.24, and then today's high 393.46. For the downside, things get very precarious for the bulls again. Today's low 388.66. Then we don't have anything for $1.50 to last week's low, which would firmly put us back in balance if we take it out of 387.15. And then below there, we don't have anything to 385.31 daily low, 381.42 weekly low. So destinations far and wide on the downside in the SPY. And then let's go to the charts. So I'm going to show you just the weekly and daily and SPY. Now, a lot of people are going to call this balance. And again, I have no problem with that. It's subjective. Since we made 2 new highs 2 weeks ago and last week, I gave the buyers the benefit of the doubt and called it up. Well, since we're still inside last week's range, we haven't taken out the weekly low, I'm still calling it up. If we take out last week's low, we will firmly be in balance. The daily is in a 3-day balance for SPY. Now, it's different in the S because of the dividend played. So I'm using yesterday's high as the top of the balance, and Friday's low is the bottom of the balance. That's 3-day balance. So even though it's an ugly sell-off today, it's a 3-day balance. That's all it is. Now, I do want to show you Russell. Monthly's still healthy. No doubt we came into last month's range, and we still have, how many days we have left? 6 days left to this month, right? If I'm not mistaken, trading days. Things we do have to keep an eye on. We're one time framing up in the monthly. Now the weekly. Remember I said we looked above last week's high, all-time high, and failed. You could use that as an inside week. Well, we came out of the inside week to the downside, and we came out of an inside day to the downside and got to the target, which is the bottom of March 8th's low of 217.67. Now, we stretched it pretty damn good, 216.03. But right now we closed at 217.06 and we're trading at 217.60 after hours, right at that last week's low. So the key for Russell, if you're a buyer, you want to get back inside that weekly low. If you start getting acceptance below it, well, guess what? 217.21 is your next stop. And if you get to that, that's this month's low. So things could change dramatically in the bigger picture if that happens. And in the daily, inside day, down, below the 20, below the 50-day moving average. So things have definitely changed in the Russell. I hope you had a good day trading. Have a great night, and we'll speak prior to the opening